choppyest flows. You'll have the biggest pieces of rock that are along those. And as you go downstream, you progressively get smaller and smaller. So down near Delta, maybe things won't be quite this size. We're kind of right in the middle right here, so we've got a certain size range that we see. But as we jump through all these different sizes, see how flat that top right up there is? That is, oh gosh, that mesa doesn't even have a name. We call it High Mesa because we aren't very creative. and that's kind of one of the higher mesas that we see along here. That's got gravel that's right about this size. And we just find it all the way through. If you look at it from a map from the sky, we're actually, see how the river here doesn't flow straight? It's going around and it goes around the circle and then around that way. If you look at that mesa from the map, it's doing the same thing. It's kind of swirling around and all that. So we're following that river as it was making great big meanders. And that's what's preserved today at the end of it. So if you can see enough of it, you start seeing what the old system looked like. And the old system looked a lot like the modern system, except that the glaciers were melting. And they were just carrying a lot more water and a lot more sediment at that time. Now that kind of sets us up. We can go through and just play the kind of leapfrog game. And we've mapped 12 different levels of terraces going all the way up to the very top, past those power lines, right up there on the hilltop there. And every one of these flat hilltops right here, if you go up to those, they all contain that river gravel on them. And so what's happened through time is that the Gunnison River wasn't always going through this deep, deep gorge. The gorge was much less deep, but the Gunnison River was still flowing through it. It was kind of caught in the Black Canyon, kind of early, and just kept coming down. And every time it came to the corner right here, it made a left-hand turn and went out toward Utah. And why did it do it? Because it hit the adobes. The adobes are here behind us, but the adobes have been worn away. And if you restore their outcrop, the adobes used to go right over where we're standing, and they went right over the top of the Dakota sandstone, which is what we see right there. So through time, you guys all came around the corner of this hill and came up. That's the modern version of what's going on there. Everything out to that little basin as you drove up is out in the adobes, and it's kind of forming this little valley. Everything over on this side is the Dakota sandstone that we see right here, and then a little bit of this river gravel holding up the side. Similarly, the river was cutting through the gorge here, and then it kind of came out of the Dakota. And when it did, it hit the adobes, and it just kind of turned and stayed right along the surface of the Dakota sandstone as it went. Made this left-hand turn, and as time went through, we'd wear away the adobes, and the stream would go down. We'd wear away the adobes again, and the stream would come down. So we just see the stream just kind of cutting its way, and it's what we call migrating or sliding. It's just going along a hard surface right there, as long as it was feasible to do that. And so pretty much, if you go back 2 million years on the Gunnison, during the times that there were flows from the glaciers and a lot of water coming down, it was always coming out this canyon, not so deep, but always making this left-hand turn and going that way. And this huge mesa that we see right out this way, if you go out there today, and we've done this, and you look at all the pieces of gravel that are up there, it's all Black Canyon of the Gunnison gravel. And it's not the stuff that we're standing on right here. So there's something fishy going on. We've got the rivers coming out here, and that's fine. And then we've got this big gravel up here, which is just from the Gunnison River. So there's kind of a mystery here, and geology can kind of be a mystery novel at times, because then you go, well, where's this stuff? Like we're standing on here, where is the North Fork gravel that would be from that time? Because it hasn't mixed. The North Fork River didn't flow into the Gunnison at that time. So now we have a mystery on our hands. What I want you all to do is turn around, looking that way, and I'll actually kind of sneak through here, if I can point out to you. Right over this way. See all those adobe hills right there that are kind of forming all over? They're kind of gray and then yellow on the top of it. And that's called Shamrock Mesa right there. It's to the left of the highway as you're driving up toward Hotchkiss. And it's really just out in the adobes, out in the middle of nowhere. And if you go up to the very top of that, the very top 10 or 15 feet up there, is all made out of gravel. The biggest piece of gravel is about that big. It's all really well sorted. If you stand on it, you see pieces of porphyry, corn shells, you see pieces of basalt on it, and it's almost exactly the same height as this terrace out here. And it goes right along the front of Redlands Mesa. And actually, if we follow it and map it all the way under Rogers Mesa is something else. I'll talk about that in a second. But we can actually follow that to the other side, and it becomes Sunshine Mesa and some of the others that are up there. Today's North